Yes, hi everyone. My name is Earl. As I said yesterday, I was going to record and prepare something Socrates, uh, Death of Socrates, the connection between Socrates, Death of Socrates, and Plato's Cave. And I got some passages from Allegory of Plato's Cave. This is a Plato's Cave, and all that. And when I'm trying to make the connections, is my argument here is going to be that Plato is the actually caveman in this situation here, and I'll explain the allegory of cave in the point. First, I'll explain this picture, then I'll explain this, and then I'll use some quotes from the allegory of cave. So bear with me. What I'm trying to present here is that um, that of Socrates, and Socrates is here in this case is a caveman locked in his prison like a cave, and this is a Jacques Louis David painting that I've had that I've shown yesterday when I created that video. So next one I'm going to present is this one. So in this case, we can see that Socrates here is again he's poised to drink uh, poison because he's the citizens of Athens and the people of Athens have said that he's been teaching unorthodox things, and that he should be um, punished with a capital punishment. He has to take a death penalty. Although they give him an option for Socrates to renounce his teachings and or go in exile, renounce his teachings, go to exile, and so not to die. And of course, as this painting shows, the Socrates decides to take the poison because he thinks that he lives there. This is his country. This is his state. His people have spoken the peace, and that he needs to take that into account. And he decides, despite all these people around pleading and saying, uh, you shouldn't do this, you should go at exile, recant your teachings. But you can see they're all in agony, and they cannot just believe that Socrates is going to do this. And Jacques Louis David here, the French painter, he paints this scene amazing. I mean, he shows in a great details what's happening here and all that. So that's one thing. And what I want to connect it to is the Plato's cavemen. And so, for example, so here's the Plato's caveman. Plato's caveman, the allegory of cave is from Plato's Republic, and this is very. What is allegory first? Allegory is a like a poem or a story, something that has a moral or political value or a certain message that teaches us about morality or reality or anything like that. Now, Plato's caveman is Plato's allegory of cave. That would be the correct way to say it. Is that Plato creates this idea where, as you can see, this is a big cave here, right? And all these prisoners are here, and they're facing the wall right here. And as they face the wall, the showman performer, or a roadway where puppet showmen perform. Um, so what these puppets are doing, they're creating these shadows that prisoners are seeing on this wall. The fire, the fire is there that creates the light, and these ones are abstracting that light by creating different patterns, human beings or puppets and things like that. And prisoners are looking into that wall. And the question is, what do the prisoners see? Um, do they see the what do they see exactly on the wall? Do they think these images are real, or this is all they see? They're actually shackled to the um, they're shackled. They're not free. They're prisoners in a cave, right? That's why they call prisoners. But at the same time, one of the prisoners is taken out of the cave and shown out. And what reality is he going to see? And all that. And is he going to be free? Is he going to be the ultimate? Um, how when somebody is locked up in a prison for a long time or is in a cave, and all they see is these shadows on the wall being manipulated by showmen who perform these like a puppet things, doing with their hands and creating maybe even human beings walking around on silhouettes or anything like that. And the fire, they're constantly burning, diffused sunlit. So you see, this is where the light is diffused. There's no accent to sunlit. So this is where the ascent to sunlit. This is where a little bit of a sun comes in, kind of thing, but they still can see outside. Now, what happens? What has happened between them seeing these imagine these shadows on the wall, and versus when one prisoner is taken out, one caveman is taken outside, and what he will see, he's going to see all these different things that he cannot believe, right? And at the same time, if the caveman is returned back in and he tells these prisoners, look, there's people out there, there's a sun, there's this, there's a light, there's all that, they might laugh at him, right? Now, how is that my connection to this idea is my idea is that um, when um, Socrates decides to ascend to heaven, you can see here when he decides to go to heaven and take these kind of debt, ultimate debt, and for him it's like I'm rising above, as you can pointing to that. He's trying to go up in heaven, and he's like, this is my freedom. And you can see that he's being released as that prisoner out of the cave. He's being released out of the shackles, and we can see all these different people that are also in there, kind of in a prison with him. They are in prison with him because they look up to him, and this is their teacher, and he decided to leave, and they're like begging him, no, don't do this, right? And but how is this connected to the caveman? Well, the caveman here, he's taken out, he goes out, and this is where the prisoner, the caveman, is like, wow, there's a whole different world out there. Which in this case for Socrates, it's like, wow, I'm going in a spiritual world. So he might be believing into immortality, that he's going to go to heaven, or that he's going to a metaphysical, he's going to be transferred over from one state of being into another, if there is such a thing as after life after death, life after death. But the passages here that I use is the passages that are from Plato's cave, and this is where the conversation is happening regarding this scene, the whole scene here. And here is where Socrates says, look again, I think about what would happen if they were released from these chains and these misconceptions. Imagine one of them is set free from his shackles and immediately made up to stand and bend his neck around to take steps to gaze up towards toward fire. So if he's turned, and so like here, one of these prisoners is taken and made to turn to towards the fire, what would they see? How would they imagine? So if they turn their neck, now if we go back to Socrates here, see Socrates, he has his head away from the light. What if what Socrates is trying to do, ascend to heaven, is to be able to see different world or a different point of view. If Socrates could see the point of view, maybe he doesn't have to take the poison, right? So this is that connection where Plato in presents. We know that Plato is the one who Socrates never wrote anything down. So Plato is interpreting this and telling us all this stuff. So uh, and it says gaze up towards the fire. So if we turn Socrates, if these pupils, so they were able to turn his light, but Socrates is so consumed because he's not gazing up towards the fire, he's gazing up towards the heaven or the spiritual world or the world on the journey. He wants to transform himself by drinking the poison. He's transforming himself from physical to metaphysical existence. He says, Next, he would come to see the things themselves. So if we turn around and we take these cavemen out there, he says that the that caveman, it is, I'm trying to make a connection to Socrates, is that if he's taken to be um, um, next, he would come to see the things themselves. Then he would behold the heavenly bodies and the heaven itself by night, seeing the light of the stars and the moon with a great ease, then the sun and its light by day. So this we can apply it definitely to here. So if I'm looking at it as a subjective from Socrates' point of view, if he does that, he's going to see the heaven. He's going to see the light. He's going to create his spiritual connection to people who are in that world and in this world, right? And this is also connected to the prisoner. If the prisoner is turned around and is seeing the fire and even actually taken out of the cave, he's going to see this world that he's never seen before, right? And so the next word that I used here is, so now the question is, let's just say the caveman, and the Socrates or the caveman was taken out and then brought back in, and this is the quote where what he would tell his prisoners this, and he says, wouldn't he become a laughing stock? Wouldn't these prisoners like laugh at him? Like, what? Wouldn't they say, you have returned from your adventure up there with ruined eyes? Would they not say that the ascent was a waste of time? And if you had the opportunity to do, if you had the opportunity, do you suppose that they might raise their hands against him and kill this person who is trying to liberate them to a higher plane? Oh, this is where it is interesting. So, based on the Plato's interpretation of this, if one of these prisoners is taken out and Brendan brought back in, and they, um, what is it called? And they create this, um, what is it called? And they would laugh at him. Like he comes back and he tells them, "Hey, look, there's a whole different world out there that you need to focus on, that you can think about." And Plato's like, all these people, they would be laughing at him, and if they were free, they might try even to kill him because they might think he's a fool and he's trying to fool them by telling them there's a whole world out here that exists and that is out there that they need to see that. So if this prisoner goes back like here, he says these prisoners might think he ruined his eyes, and that him leaving the cave, that was total waste of time. There is nothing out there, and and if they were free, they might even and they might kill him because he's trying to liberate him to a higher plane. Um, what is Socrates trying to do here in Death of Socrates? He's trying to liberate himself by going to that higher plane, but also to this transformation from life to death, but not, and I'm not promulgating or promoting here that there's something out there. I'm just talking about strictly for these purposes here. Um, that this elevation to heaven, this higher plane that Socrates is going to achieve, and that by him achieving that, he's going to teach him a lesson that there is more, there's a whole world out there that they don't know about. Now, we can question here who is being the fool. Is the Socrates being the fool, or are they being the fool, or all, or the students and Socrates are being fools on both ends? And here, who is the fool? Well, we can certainly say that fools, or the fools here might be these prisoners who uh, don't believe anything that these other prisoners who went out there and saw all these things. They're trying to tell them, hey, look, guys, you've been locked in here forever. All you see is these shadows. You need to get out. So the reason I am connecting this is I think that Plato may have even invented Socrates, because we really don't have Socrates. There's no confirmation that Socrates ever existed. We know Plato did, and because Plato wrote this, and Socrates, we don't have any evidence that well, supposedly Socrates is wrote, so we don't know if for sure he invented Socrates in his stories or not. But I believe that death of Socrates and his prisoners here, ah, it's the same individual, that caveman who goes out there, and same thing with the Socrates who leaves this earth and goes somewhere in afterlife, if that what what's believed. We know Plato is idealistic, and he also believes in a kind of different. His metaphysicity is more real idealism rather than versus Aristotle's realism. And wouldn't be so. What I'm trying to say here is that I don't. I by this I am convinced that he's I don't think he I think Plato invented the Socrates, and he uses Socrates in these different ways, and he presents him as a wise man in Plato's Cavemen, as a wise guy. And then he also uses him as a uh, as a this sacrificial figure who goes to die and goes to this higher plane, and which by the same token I think these are the same characters. Socrates, yeah, Socrates as a caveman, Socrates as a Athenian citizen who is sentenced to go to who is sentenced to go to heaven and to be executed, or maybe even go to heaven and take a higher plane. That's what Socrates believes he's doing, and he's maybe there's several messages that he's trying to teach the citizens and Athenians and all that. But at the same time, to me, it sounds like Plato is creating the same figure to present different ideas here that's going on. And I'm just wondering what you're thinking on this. If you have any other different ideas, feel free to share. And this is all I have for today. I'll be creating more videos. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.